Tonight we'll be using rules to add integers. Up to this point we've used number lines. Now we're going to start using some rules. That way we don't have to rely so heavily on our number lines. I can understand and apply rules to add integers given number sentences. We'll work on word problems soon, but not tonight. Rules for adding integers. We are now going to solve the addition of integers by using rules. Let's look at the following example. -4 plus 2. Here's our first rule. Here's our first step. Circle the sign that goes with the number. So you need to just go ahead and circle the sign that goes with the number. That's a +2. Circle the sign that goes with the number. If no sign appears in front of the 2, you know it's a positive. And you can even just circle that plus sign with the 2 if you don't want to write in the extra plus sign. So that's step 1. Just circle the sign that goes with the number. That's all you do. Then you try to determine, are those signs the same or are those signs different? So if I look in front of the 4, that's a negative. If I look in front of the 2, that's a positive. Those signs are definitely different. The signs are different, so I find the difference. We try to use the D with the D. Different, so you find the difference. I believe it's called alliteration. We're going to subtract. What's the difference between 4 and 2? The difference between 4 and 2 is 2. So if the signs are different, you find the difference. Are there more positives or more negatives? Well, let's take a look. Up here, how many negatives are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives, and there's 1, 2 positives. So there's more negatives, and your answer will be negative. 4 is more than 2. There's 4 negatives, only 2 positives, therefore our answer is negative. So -4 plus 2 is actually a -2. A couple ways to look at that. One thing I sometimes do, I'm like, okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives and only 2 positives. Well, a positive and a negative will zero each other out. A positive and a negative will zero each other out. And then I just say, oh, visually I can see that there's 2 negatives left. We could also fall back on our number lines to double check ourselves. If I start at 0, -4 means I move to the left 4. So from 0, I go left 4. And a +2 means I'll move back to the right 2. So from there, I'll move back to the right 2. And where do I end up? Oh, yay, I end up at -2. So I know that answer is a -2. Rules, number lines should get you to the exact same value. So at this point, if the rules aren't comfortable, double check with the number line. What if the signs are the same? Let's evaluate this expression, 4 plus 2. Circle the sign that goes with the number. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and circle the sign that goes with the number. I'm just going to put a little plus sign in front of that 2. If we don't see a sign in front of the 4, we know that's also positive. Remember, if there's no sign in front, it's positive, so that's definitely a +4. Are the signs the same or the signs different? So if I look here, are the signs the same or are the signs different? Well, those signs are the same. The 4 is a positive, and the 2 is a positive. So those signs are definitely the same. And when the signs are the same, you find the sum. Again, alliteration. Signs are the same, you find the sum. What's the sum? The sum means to add. So let's just go ahead and add 4 and 2. The sum of 4 and 2 is 6. Then you ask yourself, are there more positives or more negatives? Well, I look here and I say, okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 positives. Here I have 2 positives. Hey, I only have positives running around. There's only positives, so the answer must be positive. Let's double check this on the number line. +4 means I start at 0 and I move right 4. A +2 means I move right 2 more. And where do I end up? Yay, I end up right here at a +6, which is just where the rules got me. Practice, practice, practice. Evaluate the following expressions using your integer rules. If you're ready to work these out on your own, go ahead and pause the video. If you still need to work through these problems with me, stay right with me. I'll walk you through them. As I look at number 1, I say, okay, my first step is circle the sign that goes with the number. If I don't see a sign in front of the 3, I know it must be a positive. So I'm going to circle the sign that goes with the number. That 4 has a negative right in front of it. So it's the sign attached right to that number, and it's in front of the number. Sometimes students, that's their issue. They're like, well, do I circle the sign in front or behind? It's always the sign right in front of the number. So circle the sign that goes with the number. Then you ask yourself, are those signs the same or are those signs different? Well, as I look at this, I say, oh, positive 3, negative 4, those signs are different. I must find the difference. What's the difference between 4 and 3? 4 minus 3 is 1. Then I say, what do I have more of? Well, I have 3 positives, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives. Oh, 4 is bigger than 3. 4 negatives, my answer must be negative. Just want to show you another way I sometimes work that out. I say to myself, okay, I have 3 positives. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives. Positive and negative together zero each other out. They're opposites. They're additive inverses. Positive and negative zero each other out. Positive and negative zero each other out. I'm like, oh, I'm left with 1 negative. And that's how I know my answer should be a negative 1. Let's double check it on the number line. If I start at 0, I would move 3 to the right. Because it's a positive 3, it tells me to move to the right. Negative 4 would say, oh, then I move left 4. So I'm going to move to the left 4. So from a positive 3, I'm going to move to the left 1, 2, 3, 4. Yay, I end up at negative 1, no matter how I look at this problem. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to erase from my number line so I can reuse this. Let's take a look at the second one. Again, at any point you pause and try on your own, or if you feel not comfortable enough with this yet, go ahead and stick with me. So for the second one, I'm going to circle the sign that goes with the number. If no sign appears in front of the 2, I know to assume it's positive, or you could have just circled the plus sign with that. Circle the sign that goes with the number. It's always the sign right in front of the number. So here I have negative 5, I have positive 2. So I focus on those signs. Are those signs the same or are those signs different? Those signs are different. I find the difference. So I take the difference of 5 and 2. What's the difference of 5 and 2? 5 minus 2 is 3. Then I say, wow, what do I have more of? Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives, and I only have 2 positives. What do I have more of? I definitely have more negatives. So that tells me my answer will be negative. A couple ways to look at it. Sometimes I say, okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives. I only have 2 positives. Positive and negative will zero each other out. This positive and negative will zero each other out. Oh, I'm left with 3 negatives. That's how I know my answer is negative 3. Could also work on the number line. If I have a negative 5, that means from 0, I'll move left 5. There I go, left 5. Positive 2 means I'll move back to the right 2. So from there, I move back to the right 2 units. Yay, I end up at negative 3. So my answer there is negative 3. Again, pause or move on with me. It's up to you. So the next one, I always start my integer rules by circling the sign that goes with the number. And it's the sign right in front of the number. Whatever sign's right in front of the number. Are those signs the same or are those signs different? Signs are the same, I find the sum. So I do 7 plus 3 is 10. Then I have to keep what I have more of. Well, I have 3 negatives. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 negatives. Oh, I only have negatives running around. That means, what do I have more of? I definitely have more negatives. And again, if I look at all those negatives, there's no plus and minus to zero each other out. All I have running around is negatives. The answer is negative 10. We could work that out on a number line. And again, I just want to remind you, all of this piece is just scratch work. So if you need to cross off your scratch work so you don't get confused, you can. So negative 3, I start at 0, I move left 3. Negative 7, oh, I'm going to move left again, so I move left 7 more. And where do I end up? Yay, at negative 10. That's how we go about these. Next one, are the signs the same or are the signs different? Again, if there's no sign in front of the 6, I know it's positive. You could even just put that plus sign with it. Are those signs the same or are those signs different? Well, that's a negative right in front of the 4. That's a positive right in front of the 6. Signs are different. I'm going to find the difference. 6 minus 4 is 2. Then I have to say, keep what I have more of. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positives. Well, what do I have more of? Oh, I have more positives. My answer must be positive. And sometimes what I do is I draw out 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positives. And I just zero out. I match up a negative and positive, zero out as many as I can, and see what I'm left with. I'm left with 2 positives. So you might find that helpful. You can also go back to your number lines, of course. Negative 4 would mean I would move to the left 4. Positive 6 means I would move to the right 6. So I'm going to start at 0 always, move to the left 4, then move back to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I end up at a positive 2, which is just where the rule got us. Let's take a look at the next one. Circle the sign that goes with the number. Well, if there's no sign in front of the 2, we know that's a positive. You can even just circle the plus sign in front of the 8, because if no sign appears in front of the 8, you know that that's also positive. Then you look here, are the signs the same or the signs different? Hey, they're both positive. The signs are the same. You find the sum. The sum of 8 and 2 is 10. Then I say, what do I have more of? Well, I have 2 positives. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 positives. Hey, I only have positives running around. That must mean that my answer is positive. If you don't get any positives and negatives to zero out, you know your answer is going to be the positive. So again, on my number line, I could go 2 to the right. Positive 2 means I'm going to move to the right. Positive 8 means I'm going to move to the right again. So from positive 2, I'm moving to the right again. And sure enough, we come up with positive 10. Hopefully you found that helpful. Try to have a good night. Take care.